Giggling. What
Oh,
is
because
it?
you're such a good-looking woman.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what
May I
it is.
return the compliment then?
Well, thank you very much.
I
30 years ago, New Line Cinema released a timeless movie, Se7en, that many are still yet to recover from. A real definition of action on display, like Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, hitting every scene with blood and sweat. The movie disrupted the status quo and planted an undeniable record that all and sundry couldn't deny. It was a combination of suspense, unforgettable drama, and boundless creativity that David Fincher brought to our TV screens. Never has it been said that a movie transcended decades with pure love, acceptance, and a captivating franchise that blew minds. The movie Se7en not only clung to a title as an underdog at the box office, but registered in viewers' minds an unforgettable experience rarely seen in the movie industry. It frontlined a new wave of mind-blowing action, and every scene is a compendium of complex plots that unravel the deep secrets that plummet the movie world. With top-notch performances from Kevin Spacey, Andrew Kevin Walker, Daniel Zacapa, and Gwyneth Paltrow, the movie brought to life raw ecstasies and, without any exaggeration, hooked its audience to their TV screens consistently. However, you may be wrong if you are confident that all you witnessed is all there is to the story. Wrapped between the scenes are offline chemistry, production Hitchcock, and a subtle feud that made the movie a timeless specimen as it ages. From venue mishaps to on-set misdemeanors, the movie struck a chord that sounded so nice in the ears of critics and naysayers. Without further ado, brace yourselves, and let's go through history as we uncover 20 weird facts you didn't know about Se7en. Gene Hackman was given a head start. Every movie producer wants the best for their production, and for this singular reason, casting crew members is rightfully tough. Before production began properly, many actors were given a glimmer of hope of clinching a role in the movie, but due to unforeseen circumstances, many turned down the opportunity. However, among all the actors, Gene Hackman, the award-winning actor, was initially offered the role. While director Fincher hoped Gene would accept wholeheartedly, he fell short of his expectations. The director revealed that although he was a massive fan of the veteran star, he responded unusually after receiving the script. "I sent it to Ned Beatty to play John Doe, and he wouldn't even consider it. I was interested in Gene Hackman, and I met with him for about 20 minutes, and Gene said, 'I don't shoot nights.'" While many don't know that Gene was given a head start, he could have been in the movie that spans several decades. No one can actually judge the actor's actions. We might only see from a divider's view, not knowing what he was going through. But even though Gene didn't make it to the final production, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, and Gwyneth made the movie unforgettable. And even after many years, no one can stop singing their praises. These guys are the real geniuses, and needless to say, they did it wholeheartedly. The content of the box was revealed. Most times, producers and directors look for captivating storylines that could bring alive thrilling experiences for every scene, and when they find one, nothing stops the gears from rolling. Kudos to the director. Every scene in Se7en was engineered to create suspense while getting viewers hooked to their screens. However, a scene in the movie has been debated since its debut at the box office. Towards the end of the film, there was a scene that involved a box and David Mills. For many years, fans have questioned the authenticity of the things inside while making assumptions about things that were not even close to anything in the box. However, after many years, David Fincher revealed the item of debate while debunking rumors linked to the box. The Se7en director dismissed reports that the film's mystery box contained a prosthetic replica of Gwyneth Paltrow's head. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, "It's entirely ridiculous. I think we had a 7 or 8 pound shot bag. We had research to determine if Gwyneth Paltrow's body mass index was X, and what portion would be attributable to her head. And so we had an idea of what that would weigh, and I think there was a weight in it." Fincher left everyone abreast about what was inside the box, which unsettled the scene. "We did put a wig in there, so that when Morgan rips the box open, if there was some of this tape that was used to seal the box," he confirmed. "I think it was a shot bag and a wig, and I think the wig had a little bit of blood in it, so some of the hair would stick together." Brad Pitt. was genuinely excited about his role. Actors and actresses look forward to roles that make a difference in their careers, and when they find one, they embrace it with all of their hearts. While the movie Seven didn't appeal much to every crew member, it was not the same for Brad Pitt. The movie Seven played a part in reinvigorating Brad Pitt's passion for acting during the early years of his career, shaping what he has become in recent times. One time during an appearance on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, Brad reflected on what he went through in 1994 and how he rekindled his passion for filming again. "I had not such great experiences coming off a couple of jobs, and I just wasn't sure what I was doing. I had the weirdest summer," he said. "It was the most unhealthy time. I just needed to check out, and I would wake up, I would get a bong load, I'd have 4 Coca-Colas on no ice, no food this particular summer, and I watched the OJ trial, trying to figure out what I should do next. What do I do next?" It was a tough time for the actor, but after clinching the role of Detective Mills, everything changed for the better. "Then I read this script, my dear friend and manager, and basically my sister now, Cynthia, sends this over, and she says, 'You've got to read this.' I read the first 7 pages. I call her up and I go, 'Are you kidding me?'" Pitt explained. "Like, it was the cliche old cop wants out. The young cop comes in, and he's looking at his high school football trophies." She goes, "Just finish it." Then I met Finch, and he was just talking about films like I'd never heard anyone speak about cinema. Michael Reed McKay's audition was clumsy.
They want to go downstairs, they want to get a little ooh la la, whatever. They gotta come to you, yeah?
It feels good when one plays roles that he is familiar with, but when he is draped with roles he has no idea about, the reverse is the case. McKay, who played the role of Victor in the movie, got to showcase his rare skill, but he was never aware of what he would face. His audition was unusual, and he wasn't prepared for what he got to see. To nab the part of Victor, the actor was instructed to lie down on the floor and remain completely still, then very slowly turn his face towards the camera. This was weird for McKay, who specialized in roles that involve special effects makeup and strange body movements, so he followed the casting director's instructions, slowly turning his head to stare into the camera. "And they went, 'Great, that's it, that was creepy,'" McKay recalls with a laugh. Well, McKay wouldn't be less grateful for the opportunity given to him. He went from 0 to 100 real quick. Denzel Washington was considered during the audition.
I turned down 7. But they wanted me to play the Brad Pitt part, yeah.
They asked me first, and I just thought, this is so dark.
Who wouldn't want an actor like Denzel Washington to have a role in a movie, considering he is one of the finest actors in the Hollywood industry? But he was supposed to clinch a role in Seven, but for some reason, he missed out on that opportunity. Just before the script got into Denzel's hands, it traveled from one actor to another, hoping they would give the director a head start, but it all fell on dead ends. "Almost everybody I sent it to originally also passed," he told The Independent. "I sent it to Ned Beatty Deliverance Network to play John Doe, and he wouldn't even consider it. Almost everyone thought the film was far too ghoulish to deal with. Val Kilmer was also a candidate but declined, and R. Lee Ermey, who played Full Metal Jacket's iconic villain, was passed over. I was told that Denzel had read the script, didn't like it, and that it was then rewritten 10 or 11 times to suit him. It was rewritten ad nauseum, ad infinitum, to get Denzel to say yes, but by the time I got involved, Denzel had long passed." The ending didn't go as expected.
Whatever he needs.
Just before the camera starts rolling for a typical movie shoot, the director plans every scene concerning the movie script. It even gets more interesting when the actors flow in the same line with the script. But did you know that the ending part that made the difference differed from what the actors had expected? During an interview with Mark Moran on his podcast, Brad Pitt admitted that David Fincher had hit it out of the park and knew it was slightly different from what everyone envisioned. Pitt said they flicked on the lights when the movie ended, and he looked at the people, and they slowly got up from their seats, and no one was talking. Then, they disappeared from the screening. Pitt said he remembered looking at Fincher and going, "Oh my God, what the F did we do? What happened? What's going on?" The actor thought that it was great. The end of the film is heartbreaking. The audience probably left in silence because they were shocked and had broken hearts. Gene Borkin didn't know what he was signing up for.
All right, calm down. Calm down. Quiet down. Calm down. Quiet down.
Most actors are sometimes locked between choices and get on the wrong boat. One thing every actor avoids is getting into a deal that they later regret. However, did you know that actor Gene Borkin answered the casting call but didn't know what it was all about? He was brought into something he never knew was part of his casting deal. Everything went well for him until he arrived on the movie set, but it was too late. They didn't let him know that he was going to go naked, covered in blood, and acting like a corpse. This was a tough bargain, but he had to make it to get what he wanted. Right there and then, I renegotiated, he said, asking for, and getting, 5 times the Screen Actors Guild Day scale fee of $520, as well as a pair of underwear. This was one of the craziest bargains in the history of his acting career, but fortunately for him, he was smart to pull the trigger real quick. Gene must have learned his lesson, and that experience did shape his subsequent experiences when he came face to face with producers at the negotiating table. Gene was the definition of a phenomenal actor. From how he acted every scene to how he delivered his speech, not many actors have done this in a movie like Se7en. Starring based on conditions.
Film. I got in my contract that an ending had to stay.
What's in the box?
Because I'd had experience on something before where something that was...
Actors can often be draped in their rights and terms and only care about how good their negotiations are. Did you know that before production began for Se7en, some actors later cast in the movie decided on their own fee? Among them was Brad Pitt, who sat comfortably at the negotiation table. He wouldn't let emotions stop him from having a fat check, and fortunately it worked for him. Even before the movie began, he knew he would have the last laugh, and he did. With Se7en, I said, I will do it on one condition: the head stays in the box. Put in the contract that the head stays in the box. There was a second thing too. He's got to shoot the killer in the end. He doesn't do the right thing. He does the thing out of passion. Brad knew how to play the negotiation game. Indeed, he won chess even without putting himself under pressure. He went from being one without passion for filming to one whose name became the core of the moment after the movie debuted. No wonder he is called an underdog for a reason. He has recently been seen starring in blockbuster movies, but as you know, it began with Se7en. Kevin Spacey made some heartbreaking remarks.
It's weird because the disability isn't the same. The head in the box.
Every actor is entitled to their opinion. Honestly, you can question their reasons. Kevin Spacey had some crazy remarks during the filming of Se7en. For some reason, you wouldn't blame him. Spacey plays the serial killer John Doe, with the character present throughout the film's first half. Though it was revealed that Brad Pitt pushed for Spacey to be cast, initially the role was offered to Michael Stipe, the lead singer of R.E.M., but the role was given to someone else due to some band touring schedules and a few contingencies. Even the one they gave, whose name was not revealed, took the position but was fired after a week. Spacey revealed on the Lex Freeman podcast that he demanded to be left out of the credits. It would be excellent if I didn't take billing in the film. The reason I felt was that I knew that by the time this film would come out, it would be the last one of the 3 movies that I just shot, the 4th one, and if any of those films broke through or did well, if it was going to be Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Kevin Spacey. The actor not only didn't show up in the movie's opening credits, but he wasn't in the posters for the movie or VHS. David Fincher fought his way through before his debut.
And it was Se7en, and I got to John Doe walks into the police station and gets...
Directing a movie comes with many setbacks and challenges peculiar to all films, and getting the job done most times requires resilience and commitment. And for David, Fincher had to go through sweat and blood to get the job done. Every day came with its own kind of trouble, but he knew how to calm every situation. At some point, Fincher had to endure difficult times, encouraging the cast who felt that making a mature yet simple movie would suffice. He said of the movie's legacy, "I had no idea why generation to generation has continued to gravitate to it. I remember at the time apologizing to all the cast members by saying, 'Look, this is going to be a footnote movie,'" he recalled. Morgan Freeman, "They won't put Se7en on your tombstone." Brad, "They're not going to put Se7en on your tombstone." But I just felt that if we could do it smartly, sharply, and with commitment, it would have a chance to be a grungy horror movie masquerading as a thriller. It was not an easy job for Fincher. Nevertheless, he pulled through, giving the industry an unforgettable movie that keeps echoing deep in the hearts of audiences. Not many directors are willing to stand tall despite challenges, but it was a different ballgame for him. Years after the movie debuted, it still can't leave the mouths of critics and naysayers. The movie director was on another level. Not every actor acknowledges a director, secretly or openly. In a movie where so many ugly things go on behind the scenes and cast members are ready to spill their minds without restraint, you wouldn't expect anything less than betrayal and disrespect. However, in the case of Se7en and the director, the reverse was the case. Fincher was loved by all and sundry, so much so that his cast members couldn't hold it any longer and revealed how much of a genius he was. One time in an interview, Kevin Spacey revealed how hard-working and graciously endowed the director was. He also spoke about how Fincher could take many takes without blinking an eye from tiredness, and that seeing him inspired everyone, even though it was also mind-blowing. Speaking to Lex Freeman, he said, "Sometimes it's a way to beat the acting out of an actor until they're just saying the words, saying them quickly, and meaning them without any pretense or unnecessary prop acting. Other times, it's because he has a stopwatch in hand and wants a scene to move as quickly as possible." Aside from the fact that David knew his job so well, he also learned how to get the best from his cast members. And never at any time did they think of him as less of a person. From all indications, it proves that hard work only pays when wisdom is encroached upon it. You just can't help but give him his flowers. The script, from the very beginning, inspired Morgan Freeman.
Morgan, it is.
In an industry where anyone can turn down a script without thinking twice, it is natural to believe that not all the movie's cast were eager to get the gears rolling from the beginning. Well, you are partly correct, even though most stars who got a head start initially didn't buy the idea of the script. Some loved it from the very get-go. Did you know that when Freeman was handed the script for Se7en right from the beginning, he never thought twice about whether he would make it to the final cut? Speaking to The Guardian in a 2000 interview, Morgan revealed his reaction when he was handed the movie's script. "I put the script down and was ready to go on set. All you need when you know it is when you read it and you say, 'Ooh, find me a costume designer, quick, 'cause I need this, and this.' The costume designer comes along and says, 'You know, I was thinking about this, and a hat.' Makes a big smooching sound. We're home free, simple. It isn't rocket science. It is. But we make it up as we go." Morgan has always portrayed a down-to-earth demeanor, and his humility speaks of his character. An actor almost missed the opportunity to star in the movie.
I do have to compliment you in all sincerity for your performance in Se7en.
Not everyone can star in a movie, however, there are times when a minute appearance can turn an actor's story for good, and they miss it. Did you know that Brad Pitt almost lost the opportunity that revived his career? I don't know what he was thinking, but he would have later regretted his actions. But thanks to his instinct, which gave him the second thought to consider it. In an interview, he revealed his reactions when the script was handed over to him and how he almost let it slip from his hands. Speaking in an interview, he said, "My dear friend and manager, and basically my sister now, Cynthia, sends it over," he recalled. "She says, 'You've got to read this.' I read the first 7 pages, called her and asked, 'Are you kidding me? The cliché old cop wants out. The young cop comes in, and he's looking at his high school football trophies.' Well, after going through a convincing read to the end, he had a second thought of getting himself involved, and the rest is history. After having a compelling idea that things would work in his favor, he took a stroll and met David Fincher, who placed him in a good role. He wouldn't be less grateful to Fincher either because he gave him some new props. The costume was heavy.
Sloth.
Costumes, as every movie producer knows, are the lifeblood of a movie, and regardless of how simple a movie is, its costume reveals a lot. The movie Se7en had some crazy costumes, and most actors who had these things on were skeptical. Despite the inconveniences it brought to them, it gave them some weird looks that made them dislike themselves. Actor McKay couldn't hold his discomfort for too long. He always complained about how it made him look like some fairy tale. It was even said that he couldn't wait to take the whole costume off after every scene, as it made him sick to the bone marrow. His joy knew no bounds, and for the umpteenth time, fans thought he had won the lottery. "I was a mess. It felt so good to go home and get a shower." Even though the actor wasn't much into the costumes, he delivered his role without any constraints and became one of the movie's most respected cast members. He could do nothing to escape wearing the outfit, so he had no choice but to obey the director. McKay has always been a good actor. Despite having petty discomfort with some issues, he has never failed to deliver his role with passion, commitment, and flawlessness. After making his way into Seven, his fame skyrocketed, and he was sought after by all and sundry. Today, he is one of the actors who don't say much but efficiently deliver their roles. McKay still receives healthy residual payments for his Seven role and considers it a career high point. "I'm pretty proud of it. I think I was pretty cool," he says. There are also the rare 7-star sightings. A 4K version was considered.
The world traveler, world girdling.
The movie Seven, which was released in 1995, was done in a format different from 4K. Getting it into 4K would demand some maneuvering, and even though fans were desperate for it to enter 4K, director David Fincher was skeptical about it. However, after thinking it through for many years, he decided to give it a trial, which meant a lot for him. In an interview, he made some revelations that most fans were ignorant about. "There are definitely moments that you go, 'What was I thinking?' Or, 'Why did I let this person have that hairdo?'" Fincher said in an interview with the Associated Press. "It was a little decrepit, to be honest," said Fincher. "We needed to resuscitate it. You can see things in 4K HDR that you cannot see on a film print." After having to go through it repeatedly, his conclusions were shocking to hear. "I don't want to do this again," Fincher said. "What we've essentially gotten to with this is that this is the new negative. This will be the new archival storage element." Lee Ermey actually auditioned for another role.
The horse under that stuff. The horse is saying, no, we did that before. I know what's coming. I'm not going under there. So it gets difficult. I remember doing a shot for a picture called TV movie, Roll of Thunder. And it was in the 70s, all day. And we were going to do the shot at night. Well, it dropped down to the 30s.
Getting a role in any movie demands some expertise, and actors know that it could slip away from their hands indefinitely if they aren't careful. The movie Seven cast phenomenal actors. However, their roles weren't easy to come by. For some, it was like a tug of war getting their roles, while for others, it seemed like they were passing through fire. Lee Ermey was one actor who didn't get what he wanted, and though he played some other roles, he would have done much better if he had been cast in the role intended. Did you know that Lee Ermey, who played the police captain in the movie, auditioned for another role? He had auditioned for the role of John Doe but failed to impress the casting team, so he couldn't get what he wanted. In fact, Fincher once recalled that the actor made a mess of his audition, and he had no choice but to swing him to another position. "Not that Kevin's more unsympathetic," says the director, but he felt Ermey's take on the character was cut and dry, without much room for any gray area. Ermey isn't as bad as it sounds. He played the police officer in a way that even fans wouldn't forget in a hurry. Directors usually judge from their perspective when they intend to cast an actor. Nevertheless, Ermey has always been a prospect who sees the best in everything he does. The ending was different when played for the first time.
You're looking for me.
What's your fucking move?
Directors and producers must be the most significant thinkers during a movie shoot or filming. It's easier to point fingers until one mounts the affairs of directing to see how hard it is to churn out creativity. When Seven was played for the first time in New York City, it had a different ending and cut to black as soon as Mills pulled the trigger on John Doe. Fincher spoke with the theater beforehand, asking them to keep the theater completely dark after the final image to let the audience take it in. This didn't happen, and the lights in the theater came up as soon as the gunshot was heard. The audience was then immediately handed comment cards asking for their thoughts on the movie, and the audience members had to begin thinking up answers to questions like, "Who was your favorite character?" But to Fincher's greatest surprise, he was shocked to hear the responses from the audience, which made him rethink everything. 3 women who walked by after the screening couldn't hold back and made an unappealing statement that altered Fincher's mind. The people who made that movie should be culled. They really don't deserve to be living for a moment. What the hell were they thinking? Seven became a box office hit. Despite its flawed marketing campaign, every marketing campaign aims to create awareness and sales for an upcoming movie, but what happens if that aim is defeated? Well, the marketing campaign for the movie Seven fell on dead ends, but despite all the hiccups and not-so-good experiences, it went from 0 to 100 real quick. The movie had some challenges. One was low-test screenings, which disrupted things as they should have been. However, a turnaround was seen in no distant time, and everything fell into place. Fincher, revealing the bad ends in an interview with The Independent, made some remarks, saying, "They handed me this leaflet that read, 'Would you like to see Morgan Freeman driving Miss Daisy and Brad Pitt, Legends of the Fall, in a new thriller?' And it was the single worst way to bait the hook for this movie that I could imagine. Seven has nothing to do with driving Miss Daisy or Legends of the Fall. Seven is an affront to that kind of cinema of reassurance." But despite all these obstacles, Seven proved to be a remarkable box office success, debuting at #1 with a record-breaking September opening of $14 million across 2,441 theaters in 1995. Debate over shocking ending.
I think so. It's edited by an Australian, Richard Francis Bruce, who was up for an Oscar this year, so I've got to ask you, what do you think of the edit?
The ending of every movie truly reveals deep things about the film, and to a great extent also shows the creativity of the directors. Getting a reliable ending for the movie Seven wasn't easy, and there was debate over what seemed like the perfect ending. The brutal climactic twist of having David Mills, Pitt, unwrapping a special delivery of his pregnant wife, Gwyneth Paltrow's severed head, provokes him to execute the sadistic yet unarmed John Doe, Kevin Spacey, and unwittingly fulfill the serial killer's epic sin tableau in the process. As you might expect, getting a major studio to embrace writer Andrew Kevin Walker's bleak ending wasn't easy, especially after early test audiences didn't like the conclusion. Executive producer Arnold Kopelson recalls the internal hand-wringing over the ending after the studio did 2 preview screenings that delivered poor numbers. The scores were only at 70%, said Kopelson, whose previous film The Fugitive had tested at 98%. "I was concerned that the film would be a disaster, but to his greatest surprise, it came out well and became the core of the moment." A myriad of regrets.
Real quick while I'm thinking about it, why was Seven such a big hit?
You asking me, Jimmy? I don't know. I never know why. Well, I know.
Regrets are a natural phenomenon that every actor doesn't pray to avoid, especially in a moment of error. Did you know that one of Hollywood's finest couldn't help but verbalize his regrets after he missed out on an opportunity that would enter history in grand style? Denzel has always been everyone's favorite. Nevertheless, his role in the movie, which would have altered the rate at which the film progressed, never appeared. In 2012, when asked if he had any regrets about missing out on any project, he didn't blink an eye while making his assertion. The Oscar winner said that David Fincher's Seven was the best material I had read in a long time. "I was nervous about a first-time director and didn't feel the script, and I was wrong. Brad Pitt ended up playing the role instead." Well, everyone has a day like this in their lifetime. And even though many fail to recognize their mistakes early on, Denzel himself wouldn't go down this route twice. The pain of missing out on something that would have blessed his life hits harder than anything, and I'm sure he wouldn't dare miss that again. For decades, the movie Seven has stood out in all ramifications, not solely because of the incredible actors involved, but also because of the quality, depth, and chilling context of the storyline that drove every scene. From its opening moments, Seven pulls you into a world drenched in suspense, moral conflict, and psychological tension, keeping you hooked until its haunting conclusion. Its overall performance at the box office can't simply be attributed to hype or marketing. The film's craftsmanship, the precision of its direction, and the sheer weight of its message made it unforgettable. Every frame feels intentional, every word of dialogue laced with meaning. The combination of David Fincher's dark visual tone and the intense performances from Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Spacey created a cinematic experience that redefined the crime thriller genre. Even after so many years, Seven feels as raw and powerful as the day it premiered. It doesn't lose its vigor or style, but matures like fine wine. The atmosphere, the pacing, and the underlying themes of justice, morality, and human depravity remain just as relevant, perhaps even more so, in today's world. Few films manage to stay this timeless, but Seven easily earns its place as a modern classic. The producers, directors, and cast members deserve every bit of recognition and praise they can get. Their collaboration created a masterpiece that continues to influence filmmakers and storytellers across generations. Seven has a certain cinematic flavor woven into it, a dark beauty that draws everyone closer to its corridors. That scent never fades. It lingers in the minds of those who watch it, becoming more profound with every rewatch. It's more than just a thriller. It's a reflection on human nature, a meditation on sin, and a challenge to the viewer's conscience. And that's why, decades later, Seven doesn't just survive, it thrives. It remains one of those rare films that time cannot diminish, because it speaks to something more profound than entertainment. It speaks to the human condition itself. Which of these facts truly blew your mind? If you were asked to give some petty reasons, what would they be? Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as many amazing videos are waiting for you.